Thank you, Danny, and thank you, freedom fighters and Alberta patriots. It's exciting to be here, and I don't know, equalization or fixing healthcare, both are massive problems, and we got to address them. But the equalization referendum will not be binding on Ottawa or other provinces, but it represents the will of Alberta voters, and Albertans want the equalization program gone. Ottawa has only cared about the East, and especially Quebec. So we're about to see that Ottawa will do nothing. In reality, the equalization is just a symptom of a larger disease that has infested Canadian federalism. Federalism is thought to be the bargain between different provinces in Ottawa for a collective better good. This is a true farce. In reality, Canadian federalism is just the tyranny of the majority. The Canadian federalism is nothing more than legalized plunder. Canadian federalism is a facade of goodwill. The federal transfers take money gathered from Alberta businesses and taxpayers and then selectively redistribute it to buy votes, maintain Ottawa's control, and expand the power of the federal government into areas of provincial jurisdiction. Equalization is essentially a $20 billion per year slush fund for Ottawa's pet projects and provinces. In the bigger picture, the other transfers, including the Canadian Health Act and health transfers, are not what they appear to be. They are not Ottawa transferring money to the provinces. They are, in fact, Ottawa redistributing the wealth taken away from Albertans. In our Constitution, which has proven to be essentially meaningless, there are areas of provincial jurisdiction which are routinely ignored by the federal government. Furthermore, our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which have proven during the COVID crisis to be a list of privileges which can be withdrawn by the government at will. This week, a Manitoba judge, Court of Queen Bench Chief Justice, ruled that the COVID-19 public health orders to indeed limit and restrict the applicants' rights and freedoms, but they are constitutionally justified and reasonable in the limits under Section 1 of the Charter. Again, what a farce. So there you have it. Appointed judges are now giving the official seal of approval to removing the rights and freedoms of Canadians and Albertans. It will be no different in the case of the equalization program. The purpose of the system which has been created is not to deliver a fair deal to Alberta or anyone else for that matter. The intent is precisely the opposite, is to institutionalize and legalize plunder and control. The only way forward is the full knowledge of the actual situation, is for Albertans to accept reality, accept that they are in a structurally abusive relationship with Ottawa, and that relationship must end. Albertans should never again try to kiss and make up with Ottawa. We need to kiss them goodbye forever. Building the road to independence may indeed be challenging, but it will be worth it. I want to sidetrack here for a minute. I remember a long time ago, it used to always frustrate me when Dad and other people would call in the rural Alberta, don't drive into the borrow pit. And when I was young, I never understood what the borrow pit was. And I don't know how many in here would understand it, but I also remember and love the story of old England. And when people were heading to town, they'd say, oh, which way are you going? Well, the highway. Well, what was the highway? The highway was actually the work of the people, the local people, taking the dirt and lifting it up and building a highway, because when it got muddy and slushy and everything else, you tromped through all the mud. But when you built up a highway and borrowed the dirt from here and put it on top, then you had a highway to town. It took a lot of work, but it was always worth it. And that's why we create the roads that we have today. And the road to independence, it's going to take a lot of work too, but to me, it's just absolutely worth it. There may be some bleeding and some whining from Ottawa that will insist that Alberta can't do this and they can't do this. There will be a campaign of fear. And they will try to prevent Alberta from achieving our freedom and independence. However, in reality, Ottawa will be asking Albertans to enslave themselves and to bow down to a master that's a proven villain. I say no. The Wild Rose Independence Party says no. Freedom-loving Albertans say no. It is patently obvious that fixing a rotten federalist structure is not a viable option, and certainly not a desirable option. And I understand that Maxime Bernier and others believe that they can save Canada but I have a different view and a different vision. Alberta must lead. And in so doing, I believe other Western provinces would also benefit from gaining their freedom. And they can look to our success and independence in Alberta and gain the inspiration and the courage to free themselves from Ottawa. The idea that Alberta is with one of the absolute highest oil and gas reserves in the world, with coking or metallurgical coal reserves, with an incredible, successful agricultural sector and young and educated workforce, beautiful land and the water, the idea that we need Ottawa is ludicrous. On our own, Alberta will be one of the wealthiest nations in the world, not just on a per capita basis, but in an absolute basis. We'll be happy to work with Saskatchewan and BC on mutual beneficial deals that are in Alberta's interest. We will not accept Ottawa's fraudulent policies where they try to save the whole world at the expense and future of every Canadian and Albertan. We must pursue our own interests, and in so doing, protect the future for our children and our grandchildren. Alberta will write its own constitution, and we'll actually have real rights and freedoms that will be guaranteed, and not temporary rights like that in the Canadian Charter. Alberta will have an accountable, small government, low taxes, and maximum freedom for its citizens. If other parts of Canada take inspiration from what we are doing, that is wonderful. Let that be Alberta's gift to the world. Alberta will be a beacon of freedom for the whole world. To summarize, equalization is a ball and chain on Albertans. The Canadian system is toxic, it's corrupt, and it's broken. My goal and the goal of the Wild Rose Independence Party, our mission is to take all the steps necessary to exercise Alberta's full autonomy. Give Albertans the confidence of that autonomy, and then we'll hold a successful referendum on sovereignty. Canada has hit the iceberg. It's taking on a massive debt and it's going down. Independence is the Alberta lifeboat. It will save Albertans, and perhaps a few other provinces may decide to save themselves. We shall see. Regardless, according to the poll that came out this week, 47% of Albertans, decided Albertans, support independence. And if you count the undecided, it's 40%. Moving forward, the utter incompetence of Ottawa and their systematic overspending and discrimination against both individuals and our province will help push the number well over 50%. Of course, the Wild Rose Independence Party will also educate the public who rarely hear the harsh truth on the Main Street media, which is bought off by Ottawa. The Main Street narrative glosses over the toxic the toxic nature of the federal government and their utter incompetence. However, there will be other voices like True North, like The Rebel, like Western Standard, that are speaking the truth. And the truth is, the federal government is not here to help Alberta. Ottawa is the malicious center of a future failed state. Canada is failing and going down. Alberta must not go down with Ottawa. So what happened this week with the equalization referendum is a beginning, a shot across the bow, a message sent to Ottawa. In 2023, Albertans will get the opportunity not only to change the government in Edmonton, but to choose the lifeboat instead of staying with a sinking ship. Albertans can not only end equalization, but shatter the entire corrupt system that works against them. Albertans can choose to be strong and free. The Wild Rose Independence Party is where we will vote for and achieve our freedom. Thank you.